All right, this daily chart of STX. STX was a stock that I was talking about on this day here. I never bothered with the stock. One of the reasons, even though it was able to get to the price points, the volume never came in. I mean, look at this volume, right? So whoever thought it was good to go long this, I mean, whoever told you it was good to go in the stock, they don't know what they're talking about. It's as simple as that. Look at this. You know, it's breaking out. Where's the volume? That's what I didn't like about it. It had more volume when it wasn't even breaking out. This day here had more volume, 3.5. So now people wonder why, when the market goes down a bit, that this pulls back so much, right? There's no volume. Still, still STX is set up to go higher. Same thing. It needs volume. At the moment, stock needs to crack at least 51 on heavy volume before this can really go anywhere. So it's still set up to go higher. STX. Let's take a look at the. I don't know if it could confirm, by the way. What it really needs now is really to get above 51 and do so with volume. Just getting above 51 doesn't mean anything. So, you know, it could be a buy range of 51, 51 and a half. Volume needs to come in. If not, this stock will more likely just chop and go nowhere, right? You know, recent breakout stocks like WYNN, when it broke out higher, look what it had, more volume than many other days, right? It wasn't its highest volume, and it didn't even need this high a volume to succeed based on its what I'm looking at anyways. But what I'm getting at is that STX really needed the volume. Certain stocks do, and certain stocks don't. That's the problem. Why there's a confusion out there. You're gonna have gurus out there that say you don't care about volume. They don't care about. They just look at price action, and that's not true. Um, at the same time, you're going to have gurus who talk about volume and how important that is, and you know, talk about heavy volume, and of course that's actually more true. But it's a combination of both. Some stock charts don't need as much volume, and that would be considered heavy volume. Whereas the guy talking about the heavy volume, they're confused of the overall picture. Certain stocks need volume more than others at breakout points, and like I said, STX was one of them. And you know, again, volume with great patterns are always the most successful. And again, volume alone isn't everything. And here's another example. FDX. This is something that I mentioned on my profile page. FDX. Let's think about this. First of all, this had a great pattern, great volume patterns as well. But it also did it. This did everything perfectly. Let me put this does things the way I understand how the market should work and moves. It did everything correctly. Now let me ask you something. One of my targets was 125. To this day, even while the market is down, 136. This is the kind of stocks you want to get into, where the patterns are good, the volume is good. But the way you trade this and the way you trade a lot of other things a little bit differently. In fact, there was a lot of other great reasons why this worked. I'm not going to get into it, but I just want to get into the volume. That's why there's a confusion, is where to apply the volume, because the volume, of course, you wouldn't tell that there was volume all in this day until the end of the day, but it was very apparent in the pre-market. So it's a matter of what does the stock need for a proper breakout, and establishing that from its past and its patterns and so on and so forth. And that's the problem. People out there, you got guys out there talking about you don't need volume, and then there are guys that are gung ho about the volume. And it's not that simple. Sometimes their stock requires a lot of volume, and some don't require as much. Some have even triple the amount and still don't do well, right? So there's a lot of reasons for it. But when I make a recommendation and I talk about volume, 9 out of 10 times, if the stock doesn't have volume, there's going to be a high success rate, failure rate. And even with volume, you can still fail. Just that the probability is higher when the stock needs volume that it will succeed. Thanks for listening. Like the video.